Hi, and welcome to Hacktoberfest 2024 with the Jenkins project. My name is Darin Pope. I'm a developer advocate with CloudBees, and along with me today, I have Mark Waite. Mark, how are you doing?
Just great, Darin. How are you?
Good. So today we are continuing in our series of, modernization of plugins. So we're
Right.
modernizing today with internationalization. And I thought we had done this before, but we really hadn't.
No,
At least
no, and
not to this
and
level.
it's kind of a dusty corner for me, so we'll do a little exploring today.
So the fun part of this is I am a native English speaker.
Okay.
Mark is a native English speaker. But Mark does know some Italian.
I do, but
So,
we don't have to do it in Italian. We can do it in German, whatever.
well, okay. So let's rewind the clock for a second. When we started this series 3 years ago in 2021, AI wasn't much of a thing. We had Google Translate,
Right, which was
which was
actually
okay.
quite good and has gotten much better now. Yep.
But now we have AI, which
Okay.
AI is probably translating or powering Google Translate now more than it ever was.
Sure.
So I wonder, do we still really need to do any internationalization? I wonder if we can make it even smarter and just say, just fill this out. Here's the slug. Here's the person's language. Go do it. That's not what we're going to do today. We're not that smart.
Well, okay. The problem there is that the extraction process is still a very human intense process because the internationalization part, translation, the localization part may be amenable to machinery, right? It's at least okay with my limited skills in Italian. Machine-driven translations of Italian, English to Italian, are at least as good as the Italian I speak. So in that sense, yes. Now, are they as good as native Italian speak? Probably not. But that's, again, in computer software, it's probably more likely that we'll make localization mistakes by using the wrong terminology when we use a machine to help us, right? Because the term, and that's where translation memories and tools like Crowdin are a real help. Because translation memories let us use consistent terminologies within a translation.
The chances of us getting things wrong, even in our native language, are still fairly high as well.
Right. It's embarrassingly high how easy it is to make mistakes in native language. Yep.
Okay, so where do we want to start? We want to start looking probably at the docs first, because that's a good place to start.
Right.
Best place to find this, go to jenkins.io. Up in the right hand or wherever it is, you'll see a search bar. Look for internationalization. That's the place to start. So what do we need to do? We need to internationalize messages in Java source code. It's been a long day. Same in the jelly views.
Right.
Only jelly views?
Well, so Jelly is certainly the preferred way of doing UI, but some older plugins, like one or two of the plugins I maintain, tend to have some of their views that are still expressed in Groovy. And so there is one that's not stated here, which is how to internationalize in Groovy, because it's largely what you do in Java.
Okay, good. And then finally, optionally, enable the crowd-in translation support.
Right, and Crowdin is it's very nice of Crowdin to have donated this, because it makes for a great experience for the person performing the translation. That's the localization part, not the internationalization part. Our part today will just be internationalization with a smattering of localizing just to test.
Okay. So we have translation tools, but at the end of the day, there's nothing magic about it. It's messages.properties, which has been around since Java 1.2.
Yeah,
It's been around forever.
right. There is the magic actually is in
That part.
the getting message.properties turned into Java source file,
Right.
into Java code. But that even is not that magic, because it's all done for us, right? So it just works.
Yep. So where do we start? Now I'm still in the same setup. We're using configuration slicing like we did with our last set of videos. Where are we going to start?
So
What do we need to do?
what I'd propose is let's first run it and look at some of the text, and then go find that text. So the first challenge in doing internationalization is Well, okay, yes, also. So start it compiling, and we'll talk about.
Okay. And I'm just going to do what? Maven HPI run?
Yeah. If it's already compiled, even if it's not compiled, Maven HPI:run is a good thing to do. And you're on the same machine locally here, right, Darin?
Yes.
So
Yeah. Everything's completely
when
local.
this thing finishes it's already for us. Great. So open up a web browser to localhost port 8080.
Okay. Well, almost. It's fully running. Okay. So let's go back over to here. We'll do this. Oh, please. Yeah. Okay, good. I was just thinking on this machine, I might have other 8080s running, but I don't.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, so now the question is, where do we find messages about this? So let's go looking at one place first.
Okay.
Manage Jenkins, the primary interface of configuration slicing is in the Manage Jenkins page. Keep going down.
One more. Okay.
Where is your configuration slicing?
Don't have it.
Except that you did an HPI run, didn't you?
I did.
And there's the message up at the top. Installed plugins are deprecated. It's correct.
Right. Right here.
Wait a sec. So part of it may be click through the Jenkins configuration thing that's in the middle of your screen, the one that says the Jenkins URL is not set.
This one. No,
Don't dismiss
this one.
it. We really want to click through it, right? So
Okay.
click that, and it will choose a good default for you usually, but if not, give it a host name that, okay, it's got localhost. Localhost, I think it would prefer a valid host name if you've got one.
I should. Here, let's try this.
If you don't, just
No, I
save it.
should have this. So let's see. Okay, it doesn't like that, but give me a
Yeah,
second.
so just go with localhost. Just save
No, that's
the
fine.
localhost.
You sure?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's just let
All
it save localhost because we're not going to use it anywhere except from localhost. So that should be workable.
So riddle me this because people probably have run into this.
Uh-huh.
We did the startup.
Uh-huh.
And it looks like the URL is actually localhost, but in reality, it's not.
What
Right.
do you mean? Well, no.
Well, it hasn't been saved yet, right?
Right. So right now it's empty. But what Jenkins does is it offers you its suggested value, and it does
Right.
that by determining its best guess of what your host name is. Okay, so now let's go. I'm still surprised that. Hang on, just a minute. Keep looking. Yeah. I don't understand why
Right,
configuration
so-
slicing. Well, maybe I'm just mistaken, Darin. I'm going to run it on my system locally and see
Okay.
if.
I mean, to me, again, we're playing the role of Darin knows nothing because in reality, I know nothing.
Well, we
About
need
this,
to. Yeah,
so-
we need exactly. We're acting as though we don't. First thing we want to do is we want to see the evidence that the plugin is
There
installed.
it is. Is this what you're looking for? Claim?
No. We're looking for. This is. We started from the configuration slicing plugin directory, right?
Let's check that because the answer should be yes,
Okay.
but it is Monday. So
No, it is. We're obviously
Yeah.
in configuration slicing plugin.
Huh?
Oh, wait a sec.
what?
Okay, on mine at least, it whines about. So go back to your web browser
Okay. Well, it's not going to click out, but
and go to Manage Plugins.
Okay, I gotta
and
start
let's
it back
update
up.
the plugins.
okay. Is 21 okay for this?
Yeah, Java 21 should work just great.
Okay. Even though it was loading up 452? Oh, yeah. It's been around.
Yeah, 452 is fine, but
It's still fine.
you're right. When I've run it, I've preferred to run a newer version of Jenkins Core, but 452 is fine.
Well, that's what it gave me.
Yeah, and
Right,
and we
so
could
it's-
add a command line argument minus capital D Jenkins.version equals something else.
Okay.
But
Right,
452
regardless.
is fine. It'll
Okay.
it'll tell us that there's known vulnerability in 452, and we'll have to agree. There it is, configuration slicing.
I didn't do anything.
Yeah, and I can't explain why it's now happy, but it is. That's great.
It's okay.
So
All right, so
let's-
we have this at least, right? So
Right.
without even clicking in,
already we've got this, and this has at least two strings: configuration slicing,
Yeah.
and then the configure a single aspect across a group of items. And both those things really should be translated, right? Configuration slicing as a phrase is distinctively an English language phrase. So we want to translate. Those two are good things to translate.
okay, I'm going to take us down another rabbit trail here.
Okay.
The icon for this is color instead of monochrome. And
Uh-huh.
everything's supposed to move to monochrome, right?
Correct.
We probably shouldn't do it here, but if we wanted to, what would we do?
Yeah, so we'd need to find that icon and replace it. That's a good.
Oh,
That's a
just
good
replace it? Okay.
Absolutely. But that's a very good observation. So now we could look at. That's a fun one because we could look for what are some good choices of possible icons, preferably already in the Jenkins icon sets, or if not in the Jenkins icon sets, then a freely redistributable icon that we can find somewhere.
Right. Okay. So we're not going to do that now. So configuration slicing and single aspect. That's going to be the phrase I'm going to look for.
Right. So let's go back to your IDE and look for those.
We'll look for single aspect first. Where's that? Let me go ahead and get rid of the terminal. So there's the description. So I'm inside of, what am I inside of? I'm inside the management link, which makes sense.
Right. So you're in management link is the page that gets inserted into the management page.
Yeah.
And this thing is doing a pretty common thing that people like me do all the time, which is when I need a string, I return a string.
Return a string
Right.
without doing anything else. And then the display name is right here.
Exactly. And so in this one file we have, and in fact on our screen we see four strings, and
Right there.
two of the four need to be translated. The other two must not be translated.
So icon file should not be, because this
Yeah.
isn't smart enough to know how to get the correct name or whatever.
We don't want to present a different icon based on the user's locale, right? And we certainly don't want to present a different
URL.
access URL
Yeah.
based on the user's locale.
And why is that? Why would that matter?
Because that will break documentation. It will break all sorts of other things. So
Right.
changing it based on language will cause all sorts of pain.
Okay.
Okay, so now back to our instructions. The instructions said we need a file named message.properties.
Right.
Right. So
Yep.
let's see. Click through. Actually, go up to the top of this page, Darin, and there's the link that says internationalize messages in
Thank
Java
you.
source code.
It's not just
That's
me.
the one. Oh no, it's not. Okay, so we need in the package on the Jenkins plugin side, we need a file named messages.property in the matching packages direct folder.
Right. So we have to find. All right, let's do this.
So, back to your Java file. Your Java file is great. First, we need to figure out what's the package.
right, package is just configuration slicing.
Right. Okay. So now, and it's in source main Java.
Java. Yeah.
So,
So
we want
copy
source.
this.
Right. And we want source main resources.
There's already one there.
Very good. Okay. So in that folder, source main resources configuration slicing, we want to create a new file, messages.properties.
So new file, messages.properties. And before I do anything else, let's go ahead and I'll start again in a second. So git checkout -b. I'm not going to spell it. I'm going to
I18N. There you go.
That's the reason why it's hard to say. Okay. There we go. All right. So we now have that file name in
Okay.
place, or that file in place.
Right.
So if we were to look at the docs again, that's weird. So we have this kind of information and this kind, and if we wanted to go ahead and do Italian, we would do the IT. We're not going to do that yet, right?
Right.
We'll
So
play
we
with that in a
can
minute.
For me, the first step is extract the messages to English language and be sure that we can still see the message.
Still see it, correct?
Right. So we're going to extract the messages to English language to a messages.properties, prove that we can see it,
Okay.
And that will satisfy my, at least, desire to be sure that we didn't break something by internationalizing.
Right. So I'm going to say here, what's standard form in this? It's been a few years.
So usually we want something that looks like a Java identifier.
Yeah.
So let's call it, in this case, configuration slicing dot description, and make description lowercase. And because this thing will be a method name, I'm biased towards starting with a lowercase letter, even though it doesn't naturally look like it should be a lowercase letter, right?
Okay.
Because what happens is the localizer plugin that we use will convert this properties file into Java. And you see it here in the example code. It's saying public static string example underscore description. And the problem is there are style checkers that can complain because that's got an uppercase character on a method name. All right, they just don't like that.
Interesting. So I'm going back in time in my head of doing this by hand.
Okay.
Right, not in a Jenkins context, but just
Exactly,
in normal. So I'm used to writing the bundle handlers and all these things and just dealing with it. So what you're telling me is, as an old Java developer, I don't have to worry about that. I just have to get the messages.properties file in the right place, and then magic will take over.
Exactly. Let Jenkins build tooling do the vast majority of the work for you of converting messages.properties into a class file and getting it the right place, etc. Now, we still will need to change the source code. Right now, the source code returns a hard-coded string, right?
So let's go ahead and just get rid of that. So what am I going to do here? So this
we're going to
return
return messages.
Okay, so I'm just going to say messages upper, right?
Right. Dot. And there it is. Configuration slicing. So.
Oh yeah. But.
So I don't know. Has your IDE built it yet? It may not.
No, not yet.
So if you go back to your messages.property, we can copy from the left-hand side.
So do that.
No, we want both. Configuration
Oh, you want
slicing.
the whole thing. Okay.
Exactly, the whole thing. And now replace the dot that is before the word description with an underscore. And turn this into a method call. So parentheses at the end of description.
Okay.
Okay, so that now says, all right, give me the configuration slicing description. Okay. And the reason I put that prefix text, configuration slicing underscore, instead of just calling it description, is this messages file is shared by all of the Java classes in that package. Right. Okay. So we have to add a little bit of extra name spacing.
Right. Okay. Then this one is
display name, I think, right?
Yeah. Then we'll do that. And then if I do this again, it's going to be messages dot configuration slicing underscore.
Right, and instead of description, you want display
name.
Oops, and you want it to be a method call.
Okay.
Right.
That feels so weird. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I go ahead and shut this down.
Right, now let's
restart it.
Right, we'll compile it. So for my sake, do a Maven clean. I'm not sure if HPI run
does it compile or not.
I don't know if it uses the localizer thing. So clean -d, skip tests. No, tests is uppercase.
Tests.
Yeah, there we go. Right, and verify. And if we're lucky, this will be happy, and we can then HPI run. Nope. Okay.
Not happy. Okay, so what happened here? Cannot find symbol.
Configuration slicing underscore description. Oh, we need to import messages.
Oh, duh.
It's Java. Right.
Of course. So
we import configuration slicing dot messages.
Okay.
because we got to import from the same package. And in that location, it needs to be, oh, right. No, that's correct. It's the package. That's right.
Right. So if I do this, now I'm curious if it picked up. Nope, still hasn't picked that up yet. But that's not surprising because we're doing weird things from a.
So show me the import was messages or was configuration slicing dot messages, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that should be correct.
So the error now is cannot find symbol configuration slicing underscore description.
Okay. So for my benefit, and did you do a Maven clean before the build?
I did.
Huh. Okay. So let's see.
But for whatever reason, let's check
It's
this out.
not finding it. It's like localizer.
So it's like how do we say it?
It's like localizer didn't do its job yet. Because it didn't. If you do
Is it supposed to be a static import?
No.
Okay.
Not as far as, at least I don't think I did a static when I did. Let me look at, one of the best techniques I've found for this is I look at other plugins and see how they're done. So let me go check some others. No, they just do it as import
Whatever it is.
something dot messages, and it's something dot messages.
And magically, okay? So what you're saying is what we should have seen here show up. Would we see a real file, or is it just going to be a class that gets built?
I don't think I've ever seen it populate a real file.
Okay.
So let's try your Maven command again.
Just do it twice. That's what we're going to call it today. Monday's
Right,
do
today is
everything
that-
twice.
Right, that kind of a day.
Same thing. So
do a git status. Let's see what it thinks we've got. Maybe we put it in the wrong place.
source main.
Main resources, configuration, slicing, messages, dot properties. That looks right to me.
It's just a property.
Source main resources.
Yeah, because we didn't create this directory.
Right. We didn't need to. It already existed.
Is there something that we have to do in the POM.xml to make localizer wake up?
Not as far as I know. It's a standard part of the process.
So first file, localizer will generate a class.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, and we're not doing anything with parameters, so we don't need that bottom section.
So in theory, what I should see here is under target. Why is that not showing up here?
Does it hide target?
Nope, it
Interesting.
doesn't.
Where's
So
it
it's actually
putting,
not.
Where's it putting the results of Maven verify?
That's a wonderful question.
Well,
Is it in work?
it shouldn't be. It should really. There should be a target directory.
What is going on? We do this so you don't have to.
Right. Exactly.
And we're both probably going to go, oh, duh, we forgot X
Well,
in
so
about
let's
3
look
minutes.
at let's look at that. Let's look at that Maven command again.
Okay. Did I do skip test wrong again?
No, that should be it.
Okay, just for grins. Clean verify. Okay, that was the normal warnings. It almost feels chicken and egg here.
Yeah. Well, let's see what we've got. Okay. So do a git status. Let's see what you've got. I want to be sure that yours and mine are at least somewhat similar. Okay, so source main Java configuration slicing .java. Yep. And then source main resources configuration slicing messages.properties. Those all look very reasonable to me. So why would they be different? Well, do a git diff. Let's see what's...
Okay. So there's my import. Right, that looks right.
Right.
That's it.
Interesting. Okay, and now why would I... Okay, so for fun, take out or comment out the import of dot messages.
Okay.
I don't know why that would have any slash, double slash. Yeah.
I knew that, by the way. It's
Yeah,
just
of course
been-
you did.
I've been writing Markdown today, so there's been other things I've been doing. So
Got it.
comments are
Yep.
all in my head. I've been writing Markdown and Bash.
Oh, okay.
So
Yep. So now you've got a whole confused world about what's matters and what doesn't. Okay, show the message again. It says
Cannot find
compilation
symbol.
failure, cannot find the symbol, method, configuration slicing. Okay, so show me the diff again. Oh, maybe, no.
I'll take the maybe.
Well, I'm just making wild guesses here. All right, so in your properties file, could you open that? Let's look at the properties file.
Yep.
Okay, configuration slicing dot display name equals. That's okay. So let's just for the joy of it, put an extra character on the end of configuration slicing. So call it M or something like that. Yeah. Now let's go do that. Do that same string replace or add the string in the reference here. I
Oh,
have no idea
that's interesting.
if it would did it care?
Yep. It cleaned it up.
Oh, that's weird.
Well, it cleaned that one up. It didn't clean the second one up. Did I get them both in? Make sure I did them both. Make sure I actually saved it.
Okay. Well, it'd be sure that your Java source is saved. It could be that we're surprising the compiler somehow by choosing.
Well, okay, so this package
Uh-huh.
name is not following standard conventions.
It's not. That's true.
So I'm curious if we are being bit by that, and the answer is no.
Possibly.
Well, okay, hang on.
Okay, we got rid of one.
Cannot find symbol, but that's the first one. But it sounds like now there's target.
Good.
Okay, so let's look at generated sources localizer messages. And then what we have here is
description. Good. Description. Keep going.
well, that's the next one.
Display name.
Display name. Okay, good.
Okay, so back to our Java source file. Did we just type it wrong? Display name. Okay, now in messages.property, is it using that same casing?
Display name. There we go.
Yeah, it is. Display name. There it is. I see it.
I don't see anything wrong with that.
I don't either.
So here, I'm going to do Z. I know that doesn't really exist. I'll go back to M. Because it was interesting when we did the change for this one, this cleaned up.
Right,
Like
it did. Okay, so
and it finds the description there. So
back down to get display. Configuration slicing
is undefined. So here's one thing that's different. Is oh shoot.
No, was it? Was it? Oh, oops. Okay, good. That's nice. Java did exactly the thing it's usually supposed to, which is check casing.
So it doesn't like
Well,
something.
let's try
Whatever
going back to
something
the.
is.
Let's going back. So
Oh.
just for fun, let's take off the. Nope. Still. Oh yes. Now you got to do spotless.
Which is fine. We'll do that.
Yeah. Do
Okay,
it
so
now while
let's
we're here.
before we do spotless, I don't care.
Okay.
Oh, because it is good. All right, yeah, we got this far. Then let's see if we can
Right.
break it
If
again.
it
That's what
if
I'm
it
hearing.
failed spotless, that tells us it passed the compilation phase.
Right. Okay. So now, in theory,
So now compile again. Now that we've
if I
done
go back and
spotless.
do, oh,
No, I want to see a happy compile before you do before we do anything else. Let's be sure
okay,
that
before we do
compile
anything.
works.
Okay, fair enough. Interesting.
And
Okay.
it
Compiled.
might be. I wonder if there's some problem that they're trying to defend us against on systems that have a case-insensitive file system. Because configuration
maybe.
slicing the package name is the same as configuration slicing the Java object. They only differ by case.
Right, but this is all lower. Right.
Yeah.
So let's see if it picks up.
It did. Okay. Try the next. Can I explain what's happening? No, I cannot.
Actually, let's make sure. No. Welcome to the wonderful world of Jenkins.
Ah, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we've got
Anyway,
display name. So if you
HPI
do a
run.
Maven, if you do a Maven clean, is it still happy? Or Maven clean, skip test, verify that one, right?
That's what I just did.
Oh,
That's
I
what this
didn't
is,
see it
what I
pass.
just
It
ran.
passed.
I'll run it
Good.
again.
All right. No need. If you've already done
Yeah.
it and I just didn't see it scroll by, that's great.
Oh, it's fine.
So let's do a
It's
Maven
fast
HPI run and be sure that it's showing us what we think it should.
And then we'll verify that. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately. Now it won't hot load, so I'd have to tear it down and start it back up, right? Because the messages are loaded at.
So, well, there's this hit
We'll see.
enter to redeploy. So it does. I'm not sure I'd call that hot, but it's hot enough.
Yeah.
Okay, so
There's
that looks right.
fresh load, and there's configuration. So let's do this just to prove.
Good.
So we'll do this, and we'll say QQQ, and just because.
Yeah, and do the same thing on the exactly perfect.
And then we'll do what?
Now,
but now I need to
hit enter in your terminal window, and it should redeploy.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So it says hit
Okay, tell me why. Why is that so? Oh, is it a listener?
Yeah, it's just sitting there listening, waiting for you.
Oh,
if you hit enter, it says, "Oh, do it. Start again."
Well, that's news to me. So learn something new today. Mm-hmm. And there's our QQQ and QQQ. So
good. Okay.
So we're wired up. That's the key part.
We're wired up. Now we would benefit by switching your web browser to another language.
Okay. Let me take it back to.
Okay.
Save that. Hit nope. Don't enter there. Save. Do enter here. Because I wanted to go away. I'm going to come back and then we'll switch.
Be sure that we're in good condition. Absolutely.
Right. Okay. So now if we look at this, now we're back. Now you want me to change languages.
Yeah. So
hello, Firefox. Okay.
So there are several alternatives here. Now we could change language and see how the page looks like if we set ourselves to view in German or Italian.
Okay. Of course, I didn't pay any attention to this.
Yeah, I think in settings, if you just search for language, it's already there. Great.
Yeah, I can set alternatives.
Perfect.
So I'm going to I'm going to change it to.
So add a new language for.
Those are translations. That's not what I want. Search for more languages. So the first language default. Okay, there it is. let's just stick with Italian just because
Italian sounds fine.
at least you'll be able to see if it's
It,
in the family or not.
right. It will look reasonably familiar.
And I'm going to go ahead and move. I'm going to keep, or actually, what do you mean to do?
We need. It would be nice if Italian were top of the list for now.
Okay. All right. That's fine. Okay.
Okay, and has that saved it?
Yep.
Okay, so refresh it.
It's already refreshed.
Okay,
Because
good.
now I can see some Italian here on the
Oh,
left.
yes,
anyway.
go to compilazioni. Very good. Okay, so we have some hints there
Yep.
that now what we don't have is an Italian translation of configuration slicing or of configure a single aspect. So we need that. So
Right.
let's go do that.
Okay. What are we going to do?
So go into the VS Code and
Okay.
right beside messages.property, properties, we're going to create a new file, messages_it.properties.
Okay. I'm just going to copy it
Great.
and do _IT.
Right.
So that way I didn't have to retype the left side.
And now bring up translate.google.com and let's let them help us.
Okay.
And now professional translators would use crowd-in and would bring it in so it's much easier for them. But, translation memory is the whole bit.
Right. So I need to go from
You want to go from English to Italian. So inglese, I-N-G-L-E-S-E.
ING. Thank you. Okay.
Translate to Italiano,
Okay. Hey, at least those were side by side.
right?
Okay.
All right, so
And
now
save that. So now what I need to do
paste
is
the English on the left and we'll get the translation on the right.
okay. It's just as simple as that.
It really is. And
Does that feel right?
Yeah, affettatura, sure.
Okay. Whoops. Rats. Okay, how do I copy this?
There's a copy button on the bottom right
below it.
corner.
There it is.
Yeah, there.
Okay. I don't see all the shades here.
Right,
So it's-
exactly.
Okay, so I'm in the right file, yes. So we do that.
Okay, and now the next is let's take the nice long set of text. Configurare un singolo aspetto di un proprio. Yes, that's good.
Okay. All right. The other thing too is at least there's no special characters.
Right. Well, and thankfully, VS Code is really good at dealing with internationalization. So
Right.
even if there were, no big surprise.
So I'm going to close the. Okay, so nothing's happened yet. Let's go back over to here
Back to VS
and
Code, hit
enter.
enter, and let it reload.
okay,
And now if you reload that page,
there we go.
we now have some Italian text.
It's interesting, but it's also Italianized on the fly. Everything here. So,
Right, because anything that already had although notice that clouds there does not. Right. So some of the components are internationalized and localized, others are not.
Right. Okay. So if I wanted to switch this back, okay. What do you want me to do?
it. So switch it back. Let's see that we didn't break English. Right?
Okay.
So go to your settings and let's switch it back to English because we need to be sure we don't break the existing
Settings.
users. And we're back to, we're back and settled.
And plugins is back to 19. That's funny because it wasn't before.
Yeah, didn't we do a get clean?
We did. You're right.
Yeah, if we did a get clean, then it threw away any plugins we downloaded.
Right. Okay. Anyway. So we've done the basics. So if I wanted to add Spanish, if I wanted to add all the
Right.
other languages,
German. Now,
whatever.
one of the guiding things that I've heard is please leave the translations to native speakers.
Yeah.
And so I'm pretty comfortable with Italian, and I don't know anybody who will do an Italian translation for me. Therefore, I tend to do an Italian translation and admit that a bad Italian is better than no Italian.
Right.
But
So
if you know a German, you should probably ask them to help.
here's a question. What would happen if I went ahead and created the IT file and I defined all the left-hand sides, but I didn't put anything in the right-hand side? It would be empty, right? Because the value exists.
Right.
So you don't want to do that as somebody trying to be helpful. You just want to say...
That would be a serious hindrance. Saying configuration slicing dot display name equals the empty string.
Yeah,
that
it would be
that
empty
will
string,
ruin
literally.
It will literally be the empty. At least as far as I know, it'll literally be the empty string. And putting English text there is unnecessary in the IT file because the absence of a line will fall back to English.
Right, because if you look at the stack here, it's basically going to walk. And in fact, if we had, well, English is actually a good example. You can have messages underscore en underscore GB,
right,
and it's going to walk the standard thing all the way down to.
Exactly, and if you'd like to use British spelling, put those extra U's in words like color. Yes.
So having just the base messages, that is the, if you can't find it and it's not here, it's not here. Period.
Right. Well, and so step one, the internationalization thing really is find the strings, extract them, put a correct reference in, and be sure that you didn't break English language. Be sure you didn't break the default language.
So really, to me, the internationalization thing is more about creating this messages.properties file, and then if you're confident in another language, Italian for you, you would go ahead and create a localized file.
Correct.
For IT, and go ahead and start knocking out at least the low-hanging fruit, like what we did here.
Right, exactly. So the internationalization part, you've got to create the messages.properties.
Right.
The localization is optional, right? And the problem for me is if I don't do the localization, I have a tendency to miss things that, that needs to be internationalized, or that thing does. Yeah. By doing the internationalization into a language that's familiar, or into a fake language, a pseudo language even, I'm more likely to detect, there's a string displayed that must be coming from this plugin, but it's clearly not translated. Why not?
So let's focus on the internationalization for just a second. So I've extracted 2.
Right.
And only 2.
Right.
And I know there's got to be a lot more than 2.
Well, let's go look. Let's go look at. So one of the key activities is running the plugin. So click the configuration slicing. Every one of those strings that you see is in fact a candidate for translation, for internationalization.
Holy cow. Okay.
Right. And now click one of them.
Okay.
And any string in here is also, so the words configured value and item names are probably coming from this plugin.
Right. Oh dear. Okay, so just for grins, let's grab this one. Okay. Because that's the easy one.
Right. And bring up VS Code and search for it.
Ant slicer. So this feels similar-ish.
It is exactly. It is very much similar. Now you'll notice that this is a different package, though.
Right.
And so now we need to create the messages in messages.properties in configuration slicing.tools.
Okay. So all right. So I camel case configuration slicing in the previous example. Should it have just been all lowercase? Should it be all lowercase?
Well, so the package name is
all lowercase.
Right. The package name is absolutely all lowercase.
But the class name is...
class name is class name capitalization. Now, that name that we chose, configuration slicing, it could be something completely different, right? You could just call it message dot, or you could call it m dot, or A, but for me it's associated with the configuration slicing.java file, so having that name was easier for me to remember.
Right.
But ultimately it's just part of a Java identifier.
Okay. So there's no tools directory here
Correct.
in resources, so I need to go and
you'll need to create
that.
one. Yep.
Okay. Then inside
And then
of
in there, you'll need
tools,
messages.properties.
that's all we're going to do this time. Just to
Right. Exactly.
we've shown the other detail. There's nothing magical about once you get it all in place.
Mm-hmm.
Just following messages underscore whatever. If you worked with localization at all in the past with Java, it's the exact same.
Right.
There's nothing special about that.
Ant slicer underscore display name or something like that.
So ant slicer
Dot. In this context, dot. And is it display name? I think that was what it was. No, dot name. It's name. Right. So dot name equals. And now paste the text. Right.
Okay. Right. Then I come back over here. Oh, wait.
Mm-hmm.
I need to do an import first.
Actually, and I don't know that you will because it's in the same package. So let's try it
okay.
without.
Try it without first. Okay.
Right.
So we'll just do this. I'm going to say messages dot ant slicer name.
Uh-huh.
There it is. Great.
Oh, interesting. So your IDE detected that
This time it
even
did.
before compiling. Cool.
Yeah. Okay. So that's ant slicer. Do we dare try? I'm curious about this configured value.
Yeah, let's look for it.
Because I have a feeling that's probably being reused.
I would bet it's used in multiple places. Then the question is where?
Unordered string slicer.
Okay.
Okay. So it's top level again.
All right. So back to our original messages.properties.
Right. So I'm going to get rid of that for now. Configured value. What was that? I can get rid of that. Did I close it? I probably did. That's tools. There it is. Messages. And then here, oh, I wish I wasn't zoomed in so far. I can close this for now too.
Yeah, so it's description, get configured value description. Well, that's an interesting name for that method. Huh.
So if I say this, C equals. Now is Spotless going to be yelling at me because I put the C after the D?
I don't think so.
Inside messages? I mean,
hang on. So
We'll see.
Spotless isn't the one that tends to complain about that. It's usually something like PMD. So I think you'll be fine.
okay. Dot.
There it is.
That one.
Configuration slicing. There we go.
Okay. We'll stop there.
Yeah.
So we got a new file. We're going back to an old file. We're
Right. Well,
all the
at least
things.
let's compile it because we want to be sure that we can run the tests and see that it worked.
Yeah. Okay. So
And while you're there in that messages.properties, could you change the configured value, put some junk on the end of the string? Or on the beginning, yes, a flag somewhere. Perfect.
just something.
Exactly.
Do you want to do that with the ant as well, just to prove it?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay.
All right, we'll go ahead and do this again. And I am not watching the chat. Let's see.
No, me neither.
Let's see. Erroring parts. Oh, this is earlier. Okay.
Yeah,
This was
right, and
noticed
that's
while I was
very
doing-
good. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. HPI
let's
run.
take a look at it.
Oh, it's up and running. Sorry. I'm not used to it coming back that quick. Just for other reasons. So let's just walk the tree again. So configuration slicing.
Right.
Oh, ant's no longer at the top. It's down here at the bottom with QQQ.
Oh, it's sorted. Oh, very nice.
And then QQQ
Okay.
for your value. That's
Yeah.
fine.
Interesting.
So now, that's not totally surprising, I don't think.
Well, on the
Because
one hand,
there's no key or no slug type.
right. On I'm not sure that a German language user would be happy if we didn't sort. Right?
Agreed.
Sorted. Most of us view things as sorted lists. So yeah, that's not a bad choice.
Enter. Okay. All right, let's go back here. If we just refresh this page, our QQQ is gone. Ant's back to normal.
There we are.
And then just for grins, Ant's back to the top.
Yep.
So what you're saying is, I would need to get myself some snacks and a refrigerator beside myself and just start going through this plugin line by line and
Right.
pulling out each. And there's no way I can do this fast.
Well, there might be, but the problem is, so there probably are tools that will make this faster, but the problem is the choice between which strings should be translated and which string should be internationalized and which should not is at least for me not apparent by context. Right? I have to
Right.
think about everyone. Get URL name must not be internationalized. Get display name must be, right?
Yes.
Display name must be. So then it's looking for those kind of things.
So like if I was to do this page right now, I would probably go through and put in QQQ on every line as I do it
Right.
until
So-
every line is QQQ'd.
Right. You want
And
to be sure you've detected them all.
Yeah.
So that you know, yes, I really did get them all.
Right. Boy, that just seems like a lot of work, Mark.
It is absolutely.
okay.
It at least it's been a lot of work for me, and there are places where I thought, oh, this plugin is very well internationalized, only to discover by interactive testing that I was wrong.
We've got about 8 minutes left. Did we want to try to do the other one, or do we want to just call this? What was
I'd
the other
say-
thing? Oh, actually,
so-
because we were talking about pipeline was the thing. What was the twist on that?
So let's look at a different twist, and let's just look
Okay.
at source code for the different twist. So bring up some other plugin. Let's see, what was the one?
This is TestNG.
Yeah, good. Okay, so on TestNG, this is one that's already been internationalized.
Right.
Go into the source resources, or source main resources.
Main resources. Thank you. I was like, what?
Right.
I knew it's there.
And
Okay.
now if we look, let's see, I've got to see if I can find it really quickly. What I wanted to do was talk about field. Perfect. You already got it right on screen,
there?
Darin. That was
Okay.
just perfect. Okay. Notice this. So not just on-screen presentation of fields and strings. This is showing how we can internationalize help for individual fields.
Oh, okay.
And the nice thing about this particular kind of internationalization is that it also provides help into the pipeline steps doc generator. So when we're using this in a pipeline step, if this thing is a keyword in pipeline step, like, let's see, like the Git plugin has, I think URL is one of its arguments. And if there was a help-url.html, that's the help that will be displayed in the pipeline steps doc generator.
Right.
So this thing is a nice way, again, simply by convention, by the mere existence of one of these files, and there being a field on the class
That's
that is
named
called
that.
escape failed fails, right?
Right.
That will give us help for that thing.
Interesting.
And yes, this is all nicely described in the online documentation, and we actually got a pull request just recently to give an even better description.
Okay. So this is the magic here. So unlike what we saw over in the other plugin where we're doing messages,
Right?
this doesn't have anything to do with messages.
Right.
Is it
This
still localizer though, or no? Is it in the?
I don't know what's actually providing the implementation, because this isn't generating any Java classes, right? It doesn't have to. I
Right.
believe it's
It's
all
just
during
looking
Jenkins
for-
runtime. It checks for those things.
Okay. So if it sees a help dash
Right.
for
It then
this in this
for
place,
that piece and says, "Oh, is there a field? Let's associate it."
got it. Okay.
Yeah. So
That
for
seems
me,
like
at
a lot
least,
of action.
That's already
I don't know if that's good or bad. I can't tell.
good. Okay. Well, so
It feels too magic, I think. Like with messages, that sort of makes sense because it's in the family of normal Java work.
right. And
Whereas-
this is outside of that. That's for sure. This is different.
Yeah.
And for me, coming from a relatively non-Java background as a developer before, this was no more perplexing than anything else in Maven, where it prefers convention over configuration. Right? This is another case of convention.
So if I wanted to localize this,
You would add help dash escape exception message underscore it.html will then be the Italian localization.
got it. Okay. So much work.
There is lots of work to do on these kinds of things. Absolutely.
Yep. So hopefully this was helpful. It was helpful to me. It realizes I don't want to do internationalization that often.
Right.
But I will put the PR in for this plugin. By the way, I'll do it later. But we still need to, because this is Hacktoberfest, as you're putting in your PRs, if you can't label it with Hacktoberfest tag, you won't get the credit for it. So that
Well,
means the maintainer has to add it. Or
if the
some markers in the-
repository has the topic Hacktoberfest, you'll get credit.
Right.
If it doesn't, then you have to ask the maintainer, please, could you mark it, tag it, label it Hacktoberfest accepted.
Yep. Okay. Was this fun?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, there's even more to this. There are all sorts of interesting side trips along the way here of these things that are based on configuration. So this is a good place to begin.
Convention over configuration.
Convention over configuration, right?
And where you're at, it makes all the difference.
It does very much.
Okay. So we'll be back on Wednesday, same time. Wednesday, we're starting sort of a new, so everything up to this point from 21 and now in 24 has been about modernizing plugins. So internationalization is part of modernizing. When we start on Wednesday, it's going to be about maintaining plugins. And we're going to be using Open Rewrite to, let me double check my notes. Open Rewrite moving from 11 to 17, because as of end of October of 2024, on October 30th, that next line, 2.479.1, Java 11's gone.
Right.
Period. End of story.
Weekly is already dropped Java
Yeah.
11, and October 30th, there will be no more Java 11.
So if there's still plugins that you're using that haven't been recompiled, retested, I don't know.
Now is a good time.
Now's a good time. So anyway, we'll be back then again on Wednesday, and we will talk to you then. Everybody have a great rest of your Monday, and we'll talk to you on Wednesday.